And we are live for today's Patreon Ask Me Anything. I have a hard cutoff at the hour mark. So I'll cut it off actually a couple minutes before that. So I'm going to try and answer quicker than I normally answer them and answer questions because I just have a hard cutoff and I'd rather not have to have questions unanswered. But just as a heads up, I'm going on a podcast right after this is over with. And so there, yeah, let's get started. Jay Studdard, hello, Sean. How are you and your family? We are good. Texas is in the middle of a new ice age. I've been here most all of my years that I can remember, and we're having like a week straight of below freezing temperatures, which just doesn't happen here. And some of the predictions about like -1 and high of 15, that just doesn't happen here. So it's been weird. Like literal icicles are off of our house, which parts of the country, parts of the world, that's common. Not in Texas. So we've had an actual winter in the year 2021, which doesn't normally happen. Hi Johnson, hi Sean. Have you seen Peaky Blinders? No, I have not. I've seen the first episode years ago. That's it. Iker, do you prefer heat or cold? I don't know. I'm not terribly picky in the most sense of like. It's tough to like in the one sense. I don't know. Like, I'm in Texas, so I'm used to very hot summers. So in a sense, I'm just used to that. But I don't. A lot of people have real strong immediate like. Well, I prefer this. I don't. So I don't have much of an answer. The Disney Nerd. Good afternoon, Mr. Chandler. Hello to all of you as well, whether it's morning, night, whatever it is, wherever you're at. That thing to you. Good. That thing to you. There we go. Richard Price, good afternoon, Sean. Chandler household really enjoyed the 2 videos today. Awesome. Glad you enjoyed them. There've been just enough interesting things recently and some fun video ideas that I feel like I had some good content lately. And adding the additional channel where I can talk about things without having to overthink it as much has also kind of been pretty nice for me. Jonas C. is good night. Good afternoon, Sean. Hope you and your lovely weekend, especially tomorrow. I appreciate it. Zachary, hello there, Sean. Hello there, Zachary. Jay Studdard, were you able to finish 4 pans of salmon your mother bought you? No, I have 1 piece left. Yesterday was my daughter's 7th birthday, so that just kind of threw my plans off. But so I have 1 more piece that I just need to eat. I'll have for dinner tonight. So almost finished my 4 pounds. Mother bought me a lot of fish, and that means you gotta get serious about eating it. So that'll be done. Finished off tonight. Zachary, thoughts on Love Actually? It's enjoyable enough. It's one of those movies I've never really understood why people go bananas for it. There's all these things in it that don't seem nearly as romantic as... They're obviously not romantic scenario to me. So I just don't understand where a lot of the love and praise for the film is. Like, there's things in it that I think are great. And then there's a bunch of other things where I'm like, I don't care about this. Like, I don't and I more so like if I just watched it without everyone else being, oh, it's amazing, I'd be like, oh, that's a good movie. But when you watch it with a bunch of people telling you how amazing it is, and then there's a bunch of things where you're like, I don't know, I don't understand some other people's thoughts on romance. Matthew, you are going to watch the new Disney Plus documentary Marvel's Behind the Comics? I don't know. I might. I guess I hadn't heard about it. It kind of depends on how they do it, what the context is, if it's good. It sounds like something I'd be interesting to at least experiment with watching. And I don't know if I would stick with it or not, but I'm open to it. The Disney Nerd, which podcast are you going on after this? I don't remember the name of it. Maybe Movie Files. I know a lot of YouTubers, and I normally know their YouTube names more so than podcasts and things like that. Like, I get a lot of invites for things, so I don't even mean to be dismissive about it, but it's just not. I don't file the name of podcasts. I just can't follow it all. The guy that invited me on, I don't think I've been on anything with him before, but like I do so many collaborations, and I'll be in these groups, and sometimes there's 4 people, and I just don't remember everyone, but he's not someone that I know real well, or I don't really know him. We haven't had like a personal conversation ever, so if it sounds like I'm kind of a little bit distant on some of it, is I just don't know him all that well, and hopefully I'll know him a little bit better 2 hours from now. Matthew, Meant Behind the Mask. Either one works as, I guess, is the title for something about comics. Richard Reeves, thoughts on John Carpenter believing that Halloween Kills may go to streaming, considering in his mind theaters are dead. So I haven't seen the quote on that, so I don't know exactly what he said. Jason Blum, as of last I heard, was just like, no, it is going to theaters, it is going to theaters, it is going to theaters, and they pushed it back a year so that it could go to theaters. And with where we're at right now, the level to which the vaccine's going out, the level to which just you're getting to a point in time where a pretty good percentage of people have had it, and this is all unprecedented, so I don't know where things are going, but it's tough for me to think that theaters wouldn't be getting a lot more momentum by October, I would think. But then again, we've had a lot of I would thinks in all of this, and we were wrong on it. But as for Halloween Kills going to streaming, it's a bit of a tough one, because on the one hand, those movies are cheap enough to make that it's a pretty easy to make a profit going to streaming. Those are like, in that sense, they're prime. But in the other sense, they're so cheap to make that it also means they're very cheap to. There's an enormous box office profit. You know, the first one made 80 million, or first one in this new revival deal, made like 80 million opening weekend. The movie costs like 10, 20 million to make or something like that. I mean, not a lot. So in just domestic, it somewhere between, tripled and octupled its budget in 3 days domestically. That means you're just printing money. So it's tough to know. Matthew, you should rank the WandaVision commercials. I'm not sure all of the things I'm going to do, but I have all of that in mind, and I'm open to all those suggestions. So certainly the episodes, that's a given. That's a pretty well a given for these shows that I'll plan on doing that for these ones I'm covering. I believe the intro songs, because they're doing a different decade, different style of intro song. So I would guess those are going to happen. And then I've been thinking also the commercials. I'm not sure if there's as much there to rank with the commercials, though. So I might not, simply for that reason of like, it's a toaster. And it started blinking red. Okay, what's the Easter egg on? I just don't know what I'm ranking. Whereas on the theme songs, some of them are like really, really good. And some of them are like, oh, yeah, I mean, you matched the style of that decade, but it's not very good. Jonah, since I see you're wearing UFC shirt, I wonder if you have any odd reason you have any thoughts about the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, or whether or not you anticipate watching the fight. I don't really follow much UFC. I've been trying to. I was going to last year, and then 2020 happened, so the people I was going to get together with to watch stuff, it just couldn't end up happening, unfortunately. So I enjoy that which I have seen, but I can't say that I really follow it. What do I think about Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather? I mean, it's a publicity stunt. Logan Paul is a fit guy. He's obviously done these boxing matches before. And he's fighting an actual like world-class boxer. I don't know the specifics. I would guess the reason this would make sense is because Logan Paul outweighs him or something like that. I don't really know much of anything about it, so like if there was an opportunity for me to watch it without paying $50 or whatever it is, sure, I'd watch it, but I don't have specific thoughts on it. I don't follow Logan Paul or any of it enough to have super strong thoughts. Gamerman, hey Sean, did you hear Tom Holland said Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are not in Spider-Man 3? He said he knows nothing about the movie. I know he said that, but I don't know why the publicists and people didn't tell the interviewer, like, do not ask about Spider-Man 3. Or here's what you can ask about Spider-Man 3. Here's the boundaries. We're not talking about any casting that hasn't been done. And so what is he supposed to say? What he's supposed to say, like, yeah, that hasn't been confirmed yet, but yeah, I saw them on set. We did a scene together. I don't know if they're in the movie. So he's lying, almost certainly lying, or there's some element to it, like he's not really being forthright with what he's saying. So I always actors. He's trying to promote a movie that comes out in 2 weeks, and they're asking him about a movie that comes out in over 10 months. That there's all these rumors about, and it just you're supposed to tell the interviewer not to do stuff like that because it just puts him in a weird spot to where he either lies or he gives a really dull answer, but he wants to be a movie star guy that's kind of fun and play coy and gets a headline out of it. So saying no answer isn't fun. Whereas saying no, they're not in there gets people talking about it, like we're doing right now. But I don't believe him. When you have a year straight of rumors about something from multiple different sources, multiple different things, all kinds of stuff being confirmed and things like that, and the studio just doesn't come out and like flat out say like no, and there's nothing really denouncing any of it. And then the actor out of the blue is like, I don't know anything about that. Then I don't believe the actor. Dayton, hey Sean, are you looking forward to the new Rocky IV director's cut? Yeah, sure, of course, because I'm a big fan of the franchise, favorite movie character of all time, big fan of Stallone. So I don't know what it'll be. It's not a movie that immediately screams like, oh, director's cut. But Stallone's been working on it or talking about working on it for like 6 months and re-editing things. So I don't know what that means with this film. You get kind of nervous that it'll make it more serious or something like that. He's talking about removing the robot. And some of the 80s cheese and that it's a montage movie is what makes the movie itself. So nothing about everything from what he said doesn't make it seem like they're just dropping in additional scenes, like it's a recut of the movie, a new version of the movie. So I'm very curious. Dave Madison, this week's episode was unnecessarily creepy. I don't know, throwing unnecessarily into it if that's what the show is about. So, it had creepy elements, but there's been creepy stuff since the very first episode. So I would assume that would keep escalating as we go throughout the show. So, I don't know that I could agree with the word unnecessary. Creepy, yes, but unnecessary. That's what the show's always been. Jack, hey Sean, I saw your post about watching the Super Bowl. Was wondering if you had a favorite football team. Broncos. Both my parents are from Denver. Most all my family's from Denver, so I get disowned if I don't say the Broncos. Thomas Jones, hey Sean, would you rather have over for dinner Tom Haverford or Andy Bernard? Tom Haverford. He's obnoxious. He's got a bunch of bad ideas, but Andy Bernard, you don't even know what you're getting. That guy's a train wreck, and he's all over the place. Don't want any of that. Matthew, happy birthday, daughter. What did you guys do to celebrate? Nothing. The city's frozen. We couldn't go anywhere. The roads are icy. So we didn't do anything. So we just kind of stayed at home and did the best we could. But it's not like the schools are getting shut down and everything. There's nothing interesting that we could do. So we're just we'll do something later. Dan Peters, have you seen the Fargo TV series? Nope, I haven't even seen one episode. Ada Shayshawn, did you see the report that Jason Momoa was offered the role of Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog? Thoughts? I think this would be awesome. I saw the reports. It doesn't mean much to me, really. Back in the early 90s, animation stunt casting would be like a big headline. Robin Williams being the genie, that was huge. But then since then, it's just kind of become commonplace, and it's almost to a degree that it's kind of like removing voice talent as a category because they just want to do stunt casting for everyone, and they want to get actors to do voice acting so they can put their name on the poster, but there's not very many examples of where it matters to me. So I see Jason Momoa's Knuckles like, okay. I just have no thoughts or feelings on it at all. It's like, cool. Okay. It's not negative. It's not positive. There's a general sense in which I just wish they wouldn't lean so much into doing this type of thing of getting actors just so they can use them in the marketing. But that's about it. Jay Sutter, how long does it take you to edit a video? Depends on the video. like, I do these trailer reactions, and you can look at the time on it. I'll if I know when the trailer drops, I'll have the video posted in less than an hour after the trailer dropped, because it takes me 2 minutes for the video to load on YouTube because of the way the indexing works for YouTube. Then it takes me under 10 minutes to film it. I have to transfer the files, and I edit it in under 10 minutes, and then the video's out. Some of these numbered lists that I was doing at the end of the year is 8 hours, 10 hours, just enormously long amounts of time. Like, people ask me, like, hey, why don't you just rank all of these? And they'll list something off that, so the big one is like, you have now we have the 23 MCU movies plus a new TV show coming out every 2 months. And then soon enough, we're going to start getting a new movie every 3 months, in which case pretty soon we're going to have 8-9 new MCU things coming out every single year. People are like, hey, you should rank all of that together. And the characters. And so it's a ranking that would get to 30 for the movies. For the characters, I mean, it's over 40, over 50 a year after that. They're like, yeah, you should just do that. I'd love to see your take on all of this. Like, well, ranking of 50 characters or 50 of anything, that's 12 hours of editing if I rush it. And if I'm trying to be detailed and like to have little jokes in there and cut in on my face and line up the B-roll with what I'm talking about, that is a long, long video to be edited really well. So some of them take 10 minutes to edit, others take a long time. Even the reason I started the additional channel, Sean Sandler Plus, is because there's things I want to talk about without editing being a funnel. I did a Willy's Wonderland review, and I shot it in under 15 minutes, and I edited it very quickly because I shot it in one take. I don't have to. There's nothing to trim on that. I just the whole point is it's relaxed my personality. Boom, one take. And I'm just going to throw some footage on top of it, but I'm not going to be super picky about it. I'm not going to overthink it, so I get it real quick. Whereas, my Wonder Woman 1984 review, I was like, I know this is going to get tens of thousands of views. I want this to be really good. So every word was mapped out, and B-roll and jokes, and that takes way longer to write, film, and edit. So there is no one answer. I mean, it is all over the place. Iker, have you decided what you're doing for 300 patrons? No, that part of it is I've dropped below 300 patrons. Part of it is just that I put that out there right as life was getting really busy with the wife sick with COVID. But it was right at the beginning of it, and then after I posted it, life got very crazy of trying to balance everything. And then the month turned, and so it dropped. I lost 15 patrons, that which happens most months, especially if I have big upswings, which I had in December and January. Always are big upswings. That's always followed by a big knockdown, and so dropped from over 300 to 289 or something like that. And so I dropped under 300, and I was like, okay, so I've got some wiggle room in here to figure it out, but I haven't decided. I really need to just put the poll in. There's several things that I just need to put a little bit of time into on it to just decide what it is and go forward with it. Zachary, would you rather have Jason Bourne or James Bond be your bodyguard? Jason Bourne, because James Bond lives in a total fantasy world, and Jason Bourne is in a mildly realistic world. And so Jason Bourne would be more useful since I live in reality. Rich Reviews, in watching Willy's Wonderland, I have to ask, have you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese? I mean, I have at some point in time. Locally, we had some other places that were there's Mr. Gaddy's Pizza is the same sort of idea, but a more local company, and so that's more what I went to. But they didn't have the animatronic animals, which I guess is the distinctive of Chuck E. Cheese. But everything else was the same besides not having the animatronic animals. So I'm sure I have, but it wasn't a big part of my childhood. The Disney Nerd, I don't know why, but my favorite little detail in episode 6 was the movie theater was showing The Incredibles and The Parent Trap. Yeah, there's always little fun things like that. I was trying to decide if they were trying to make some distinct statement with it, but besides these subtle references to twins and family with superpowers. Matthew McCarthy, who would win in a fight, William Wallace or Maximus Aurelius? I think Maximus would, because if there's a one-on-one fight, Maximus has shown that he's a great, not just leader of an army, not just a motivator of an army, but he's someone that in a gladiator one-on-one fight can win. What's your favorite Coen Brothers movies? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I did a video on my favorite movies of each letter of the alphabet, and I said that in there. Dayton Radunsky, since the TV Cinderella movie is coming to Disney Plus soon, I'll be able to see if your wife's opinion on it is valid. I think it came out yesterday. I think it's on there now. Jay Stewart, what was the last movie you saw? Willy's Wonderland, the new Nicolas Cage battles Chuck E. Cheese movie. Watched that last night after midnight. Thomas Jones, in your opinion, what is DiCaprio's best performance? Rewatched Django Unchained last night, and he's brilliant in that. I'm not a best performance kind of person. I don't really have thoughts on that. I don't even have it. I'd be making things up. I don't have an actual opinion on that. Jonas Diaz, after watching WandaVision's last episode, I wonder what was your favorite Halloween costume you've ever worn to date? I don't know that I've had any that were terribly interesting. It's fun to dress up as the Punisher, but then again, that's just boots, black pants, and a t-shirt. That was pretty easy to do. A few years back, I did Daredevil, and so that's nice. But the one for next year that I've already kind of got everything for is Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles, and I wore it, the costume and everything, in several videos back in December. So my favorite is the one I haven't even used yet for Halloween. Iker, what's a movie that you changed your mind the most on? Mine's Rocky. I just rewatched it last night and I loved it. I don't know. If they're trying to think when my mind changed on. People ask me some of these questions a lot. Like, what's a movie that you originally hated and then you eventually liked, or that you loved and then you hated? I don't know that I have too many that have shifted that much. Like, I was a pretty big fan of Phantom Menace when it first came out, and then I've grown to have a lot of frustrations with it. But in the same way, in other ways, I'm a defender of a lot of aspects of it. So I don't have one that immediately comes to mind that's an interesting answer. Zachary, what do you think Marvel should do about releasing Black Widow? I think it should be released in theaters and on Disney Plus on May 7th. Also, can you rank the MCU opening scenes? I don't know that opening scenes is as... I just don't know if they're all such different things. I don't know if they're rankable, because it's not they're not designed to be the same, categorically the same. So I don't know if it would work to do that. I just don't know there's things that you stop and think about. People talk about the final battles. People talk about the score of movies. People talk about the post-credit scenes. They're known for some of those things. But opening scenes, doesn't seem to be in the same type of discussion. I can't wait to see how this movie's going to open. But people will be like, I wonder if in the post-credit scene of this movie, this is going to happen. Oh, the best thing about Spider-Man Far From Home was the post-credit scene. So what do you think they should do with releasing Black Widow? I don't know. It's just really tough because we don't have all the information that they have, and on how much these movies are actually making, how much they're actually losing. And I think part of the problem that Disney runs into is that they came up with a really good strategy to diversify their revenue streams. They already have a bunch of Marvel hooks to get Marvel fans to go to Disney Plus. They're already signing up to get WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, What If. They've already invested a bunch of money into assets that will attract Marvel fans that would be willing to sign up for Disney Plus. It already exists. So then the idea of like, let's also put Black Widow on there. Who's the extra person that signs up? Who's the person that was like, even though they gave me 7 hours of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and 6 hours of WandaVision, and they're about to give me Loki and What If is coming and the Mandalorian, I know that all that's on there, but no. The thing that I will pay for is actually this one over here. I don't know who that is, and it's also a movie designed for the big screen. They're gonna big blockbusters are much better with an audience. Like an MCU movie with an audience opening weekend is so fun. Not the same thing watching it with your dog on your couch. Two very different experiences. So I don't know what's best. We're in unprecedented times, and there has to be consequences for all of these things. Not that it's their fault. There's like the world is messed up. That has consequences. So I just don't even know what the right answer is. Jess Meyer's thoughts on Signs. I have an M Night ranking, so that would have my best articulated version of my thoughts on Signs. I've always loved Signs. American Psycho. The video where I talk about the movies I've walked out of in American Psycho is one of them. As it turns out, going on a date with a girl from church to go see American Psycho is not the wisest decision. So I finished the movie since then, but and it's interesting and good. Not one that I re-explore a lot, but you know. David Patterson, I rewatched the full Dollars trilogy yesterday. It's definitely one of my favorite trilogies. The only one that beats it is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You forgot about the Human Centipede trilogy, the greatest of all trilogies. Something I think we can all agree upon. Ooh. All right, I'm going to fly through some questions here real quick. Rich Reviews, if you had to choose which sequel you want to see, a sequel to Twins or True Lies? True Lies 2, because I just think there's more room there. Twins 2, if you do triplets and Eddie Murphy's the third one in the batch. Comedy doesn't age well, and if you get a James Cameron or some other talent to go in there, I think there's just room for True Lies 2 to be very interesting. Disney, what do you think about Hollywood doing a remake of The Wizard of Oz? We kind of get remakes of The Wizard of Oz in different forms and in different ways from time to time. I mean, that movie came out over 80 years ago. And after 80 years, I think it's something's fair game. So I wouldn't hate it or anything like that, but we'll see. Movie King, would you ever rank the Sony animation movies? Would I ever? Sure. It'd have to be, the timing would have to be right. The category would have to seem like something that people think about that particular group. I think about Pixar, DreamWorks. Those are Illumination are distinct brands. I know what it is. Sony's not one I think about that way. Jay Studdard, you should do a video on how you style your amazing hair. It's luck most of the time. This is leftover from yesterday. I slept on my hair, and then for my froze hold it with hairspray and everything for yesterday's video. But it's luck to be able to get it to do this. I look at it like, how did I do that? How can I? What did I just do that created a scenario where I could make my hair look like this? Because I want to recapture this. But I often don't even know. It's literally like, I haven't washed my hair in 2 days, and on overnight from day one wore a headband that made my hair just kind of naturally go up. It's goofy stuff like that, and then a bunch of luck. Gamerman, Arrow seasons ranked. I got season 4, season 6, season 7, season 4, season 8, season 5, season 1, season 2, season 8 in 4th place. Ooh. I'm not on that page, but you know that. Dayton, what do you think of Martin Scorsese's Casino? I've actually never seen that one. Dayton, first out, also, please just space out your questions. I'm pretty backed up, and I want to make sure I can get to everybody, so try not to ask questions right next to each other. Dayton, will you ever rank the Batman animated series seasons? I doubt I would ever do that. Part of it is because the seasons are, well, it's as simple as, to do that, I have to watch all the episodes, and I don't know what the context is where I would sit and watch 100 episodes of Batman the Animated Series to do a ranking that I don't know if anyone would watch it. Like, maybe I do it maybe it takes off. It's 30,000, 40,000 views. Awesome. That's amazing. Maybe I do it and get 6,000 views. That's a lot of people to watch something, but it's an investment in of my time. That's 100 episodes worth of, that's 30 hours worth of watching one TV show for a video that, like, as a point of reference, I did this Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailer reaction on Sunday. Walked up here, watched it while I filmed it. Less than 10 minutes filming, 15 minutes editing, posted it, responded to some comments. Hour of work, 18,000 views. Hour of work. Watching a TV show, I mean, even with short episodes, 30 hours. 30 hours. That's a lot to do one video. It's just tough to justify that. Matthew, ever play Crash Bandicoot, one of my favorite video games of all time? Yes, but only because it's in Uncharted 4. You play Crash Bandicoot inside of Uncharted 4, so that's where I've played it. That's literally the only place. Ryan, do you think there'll be another big cameo in WandaVision? Yeah, I mean, if you check out my reviews the last 2 weeks, did the chapter markers and everything, so I tried to mark where it is, but like I talk about my speculation as to what that could be. It's in there. I won't say it here because I don't want to, if someone doesn't want to know my thoughts and hasn't seen it, I don't want to say that, but chapter markers, you can just skip right ahead to the part where I talk about it. David Patterson, I started watching the Hobbit trilogy last week, and I now have seen Unexpected Journey, Desolation of Smaug. Neither are anywhere near as good as Lord of the Rings, but I really liked Desolation, and I really loved the end of Desolation of Smaug. Loved the end of Desolation of Smaug, though. So I haven't... I've only seen them once, I think. Twice? Maybe once? Maybe I did watch them twice. I don't know. Get old, you get confused. I don't remember what I've done, what I haven't done. I've been meaning to rewatch them and do a ranking of just that trilogy that would function as my reviews of all of them, but yeah, I don't think they're very good. Jason, what's your wife's least favorite movie? I don't know offhand. I couldn't say offhand. I'd have to ask her. So, I mean, she doesn't like Alien 3 either for the same reason. But she has weird ones that she's a little bit more a bad experience watching a movie or something like that will just sour her on the whole deal. Zachary, I know 3/4 of the clips in your intro. There is How to Train Your Dragon, Karate Kid, and The Mandalorian. What is the other one with the gun shooting? Chow Yun Fat in the opening sequence of the movie Hard Boiled, directed by Jonathan Wu. The Disney Nerd, I find it interesting how you occasionally change up your intro with new clips. How do you decide which clips to use? So I do it, I change up my intro I try to do it in January and August, beginning of the year and the end of the summer movie season. Because there tends to be like it's kind of the end of the Christmas is a bit of a movie season, so when that's over, and then when summer movie season's over, you kind of have a couple different eras per year. I like to have variety. If you can obviously notice my thumbnails kind of are constantly evolving, and I'm experimenting, and I like to have a bit of a sense of, you can tell what era a video is from because what clips are used. There's a few things like that I like to keep in mind. But so I normally will basically I'll pull up 10, 15, 20 different potential little clips. I'll try and think like, what are like iconic movies that represent my channel? And what's something I can put in there that's so obvious? So after Joker came out, like him dancing on the stairs and throwing his arm up, that was just such an iconic shot. Endgame, the hammer, portals, these are iconic shots. So these just seem like obvious front runners of something new, current. And then I try and think, like, what are some of my favorite movies of all time? How do I represent multiple genres, groups of like people? Like, just how do I make it so it's not all the same thing? It's not just, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, and then a shot from Marvel. Like, I don't want it to just feel one note, so I want it to kind of represent a lot of different stuff that I watch, but at the same time have the right vibe to it that gets people to understand what my channel is using imagery. That, like, you don't watch those and think, oh, this guy's a very serious movie critic that is into prestige films, and he probably only covers Oscar bait in indie films. You wouldn't think that. You look at it and you go, okay, he's covering big genre stuff. He likes action. He likes all these big franchises, right? Because that's what I cover. So it's a lot of that. But I mean, I literally will pull up a bunch of different clips, and it's trying to think what's one that the image works that fast. Like, it has to work. Like, you see it and it works. And so there's certain ones that I was like, I really like this one, and then I plop it in there, but it needs to be that much longer for you to get it. And so I have a bunch of them set there, and I experiment, and I like on my actually on all my video template files. So almost all my files, I have an extra little tab open on it that's just these little intro clips of potential ones. And some have been in there, like, I've got some Matrix ones, Mad Max Fury Road with him on the front of the vehicle, that have been in there for a long time, and I just haven't used it yet. What kind of music do you listen to? Favorite artists? I don't really like to pick favorites. As soon as I do that, people start to, oh, you're a big fan of this, and they take it out of context. So I actually kind of avoid even saying too much, because I don't know. It's very frustrating to be misrepresented, and as soon as I say stuff, I get misrepresented. So, because it's not a space that I talk about enough to be able to articulate my thoughts thoroughly enough to not be misunderstood. I listen to a lot of rock pop type stuff from late 70s through the mid zeros. It's like a 25 year little window there. Basically the stuff that was very popular during my formative years. That's what I like. I had phases where I was a huge fan of the Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer, love Tom Petty. There's a lot of pop music that I like. And then because I've done a lot of music in church world, I like a lot of worship music too. Dave Peters, Whataburger or In-N-Out? So I raised on Whataburger because I'm in Texas. In-N-Out is kind of a new thing here. I haven't eaten it In-N-Out hardly ever. With that said, Whataburger is like the place you go to because the other places are closed. The only time I would choose to go to Whataburger back in the day was because it was after midnight and they're open 24 hours. Like, all my hanging out with my buddies at Whataburger, it was always after everything else had closed. I don't think they have particularly good burgers. They certainly don't have burgers that make me go, what a burger! It's a bit of a pompous name for such a mediocre product. So I'll go with In-N-Out just because I have a lot of experience with Whataburger, and I do not choose Whataburger. But there's just, every small town, every big town, everywhere in Texas, there's a Whataburger. And there is an In-N-Out that's not too far away, but it's just, it's also not that close to me either. Rich reviews. Which pizza chain do you prefer? Pizza Hut, Domino's, Papa John's? Not Pizza Hut. Throw them out. Domino's did they revamped, I don't know, 10 years ago. Whenever they did a whole marketing campaign on the campaign was like, we asked our employees, what do you think about our product? And they said our pizza sucks. And we listened and we changed. And when they did that, they came up with a much better pizza. So both those, Domino's and Papa John's, are two of the main ones that we'd actually do buy. So I don't know. I'd have to do a real taste test to decide. But I think either one of those two are prominent for me. Gamerman, do you think what's going on with WandaVision is being controlled by Mephisto? In case you don't know, that's the character Peter Fonda and Caesarion played in the Ghost Rider movies. I would not be surprised at all if he makes an appearance. That would not in any way, shape, or form make me go, what? They have made several allusions to the devil and being controlled. I wouldn't be surprised if Agnes is a part of that she's like some sort of separate agent that's trying to manipulate all of them on all of this stuff, trying to, mess with it. So I would go over 50%, and I think that's in the works. Jay Studdard, what is going to be your next video? So I post my schedule each weekend. And so I posted my schedule that goes through tomorrow. Tomorrow, the next trailer for Justice League is coming out. That's my next video. But if you don't know, I posted a Willy's Wonderland trailer, or review, not trailer, movie review today as well. So I posted 2 different videos today. Jack, what's a movie you deserves a prequel or sequel that hasn't gotten one? Dread is one that obviously immediately kind of quickly comes to mind. I don't know. Sometimes it's like it's tough to like. Because we have so many sequels, prequels. That's not normally where I default to. Like, oh man, we really need another one of these. There's movies where I think that there's room for it. Like I think there's room for a sequel to Tenet, but there's a lot of things that Christopher Nolan can use his time on that I'd be excited about. So I don't have like a list that immediately comes to mind on a lot of those types of ones. Like it's someone asked me, hey, do you think there's options for a sequel or prequel to this? I can like brainstorm what would be interesting to me. But a lot of times that's the key thing. Like I'd have to know what the pitch is to be like a prequel in particular. I need to have more information as to what they're trying to do. Jack, I've been playing Zelda a ton lately. Have you played that one on your Switch or any of the other Zelda games before? I haven't played any on the Switch. I grew up playing the original, The Legend of Zelda, with the gold cartridge, and I still have my copy of it. I guess it's in my garage. And then I had a Super Nintendo, so I had A Link to the Past. I never had Zelda 2, but I played a little bit of Zelda 2, and I did not like Zelda 2. But A Link to the Past and The Legend of Zelda I've played a good bit of. Ryan, do you think Tom Holland is in danger of being really overused in Hollywood, considering how much he's been in the last couple of years? I think that's it's kind of a I think it's a frustrating situation. Because if you stop and think about it, you remove what is it, The Devil All the Time, the one where he fought Batman or whatever from last year, remove that from the equation. He's only done Spider-Man for 5 years. He did 5 years of Spider-Man. He appears in one Netflix movie, and all this other stuff hasn't even come out. We're going, was he oversaturated? Which is interesting, because there's certain actors that are in 1,000 movies every year. The Rock is in 1,000 movies every year, but it doesn't seem to be as much of a conversation. He's been in one movie. One movie, and we're already like, man, is he oversaturated? And I think some of it is simply because of the way the world played out. Because you had all these movies that were delayed from last year. This one with the Chaos Walking movie that comes out in 2 weeks or whatever, he filmed that 4 years ago. So I just said, 5 years without anything else. Well, that one was supposed to come out like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Suddenly, you take that one out of the equation, and, Uncharted was delayed. There's like all these delays that kind of tie into this. So all of a sudden you have this situation where, he was just in that one then. He's about to be in Cherry. He's about to be in Chaos Walking. Uncharted was supposed to come out, and then this one was going to come out. And it's just like, why is this guy everywhere? Well, because Chaos Walking has production issues and because of COVID. So could it be perceived that way? I mean, I think it's only if it's bad. Only if it's bad. If he and people watch it. Like, if nobody watches Cherry because it's a depressing, druggy movie, then it's not counted against him. He's in this drama on Netflix with Batman a few months back. People seem to think it was acted well. And it was like, it's just a different change of pace. Okay, so people like that. So it's tough to say without having seen the movies. We've only gotten one of them thus far. So, and from my perspective, the world was turned upside down a year ago by COVID. So we don't want to deny issues. You don't want to deny that maybe he's oversaturated, maybe too many things are coming out in a short period of time. But I'm also grading on a curve, because they didn't intend for all these movies to come out at the same time. This was not the plan. The world got wacky, and you have to factor that in to be fair to the universe and have a fair read on it. Rich reviews thoughts on Christopher Landon doing a reboot of Paranormal Activity, even though he wrote some of the later sequels and drove the franchise into the ground. So I haven't even seen the first movie. I was going to rank them, and I started trying to watch the first one, and started watching it too late at night, and then they weren't on any streaming service, and so I hadn't bought them, so it just didn't happen. But I started watching the first one, and I haven't even finished it. So I can't really comment on the franchise because I don't know too much about it. I really like the work that he's done the last, 4 years. When he does these, let's take a slasher movie and combine it with this, boom, what do we get? I have enjoyed all of those. So, and then the final one on there is like, he's rebooting a franchise he already did. I don't think that, I'm very rarely consider that a good idea. Like, you want to reboot it, bring in someone new. Bring in new blood. That's the whole idea. Like, you want to do a reset, bring someone else in to make that happen. So I can't comment too much on it because I don't have much experience with it. But I've liked the stuff he's done the last 4 years, and I don't like bringing back someone that's already worked on something to reboot it. Zachary, do you think Hawkeye could appear in WandaVision? If they need someone to help calm down Wanda, Hawkeye could be the person to do that. And Age of Ultron, they seem to have a good relationship. I mean, it's possible that it could happen. I wouldn't assume that. I wouldn't jump to that. They seem to have a good relationship that's followed up with in Civil War. There's another moment. But in the case of Hawkeye, 5 years have passed. For her, a month has passed on some of this stuff. He wasn't blipped. She was. I don't think there's a deep enough connection there that would make enough sense. So I wouldn't expect it. David Patterson, how would you rank the Dollars trilogy? Last place for a few dollars more. Second place, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. First place would be A Fistful of Dollars. Fistful of Dollars has a lot of nostalgic value for me. That's the movie that got me into Clint Eastwood. If you guys don't know, it's referenced in Back to the Future 2 and 3. And so I was like, what movie is that? I need to discover that. Whoever that cowboy is awesome. And that's what got me into Clint Eastwood. Back to the Future, showing those scenes from A Fistful of Dollars. And the Disney Nerd, do you remember what the last movie or movies you bought from Blockbuster before it went out of business? No. I mean, I can... Something like this guy right here. It might not be role models, but as you can see, it's got a little Blockbuster deal. And so I've got a handful of these ones. This is one that always stands out to me because it's taller. It's not the right size. So every time I look at my shelves, it drives me crazy because it stands up too tall. So I don't know if that's the last one I bought, but it's one of the last ones I bought. Jay Sutter, how often do you go to the movies before? How often did you go to the movies before the pandemic? Probably averaged out 2 times per week. That it would be like on average, be a press screening on Tuesday, and then a new release Thursday night with friends. That's not exact. That's not science. Generally speaking, probably twice per week. And some press screenings were Saturday morning if they were family movies and I would take my kids. There's a lot of things that went into it, but generally speaking, probably 2 per week. Stephen Jenkins, favorite character from Next Generation? I think go the obvious one, Picard. Picard and Worf. I mean, Picard's just a great leader for a show like that. And then Worf, I think, got a whole bunch of great arcs. Media, how do you have access to so many great posters, images? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't have any insider access to posters or anything like that. For my graphics, I just use stuff on the internet, and there's nothing to it that's like deep access. And then even for my posters back here, it's just stuff I bought here and there. People mail me some posters, so some of it I get a little bit of access because of that. But even a lot of stuff people send me, I've got one person that's in England that sends me some stuff that is be difficult for me to get otherwise. Some people send me full-size movie posters, but those aren't the ones that you see, and so those ones are kind of like framed in around my house here and there. And then some of them are, I guess they do give out some at press screenings from time to time. Gamerman, do you think it's possible Phil Coulson could return to the core MCU in WandaVision? I mean, Monica, I haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I don't know where any of that goes. I don't know how any of it ties in. So I have no information. I've seen the first 12 episodes, so I know he died and something was weird about it, but I don't even know where that goes. Monica, without wanting to say too much, is driving down the road to meet up with someone right now. That's kind of the last thing we heard about her. Is Popsicle. It's Popsicle. It's possible she meets up with Coulson. Coulson was in Captain Marvel. She was in Captain Marvel. She was a little kid, but there's all these kind of ties through that where you could see there's a logic to Coulson being the person she meets up with. So, but I don't know anything about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so... Crashing Coyote, did you see the fake leaked Magneto scene for the end of WandaVision with Daniel Craig playing Magneto and he pulls Vision towards him and it's but it's cool, well done fake video? No, I avoid anything that says leaked. I just avoid it. Like, I don't even click on it. I don't go anywhere near. Okay, I've got 5 minutes, so I'm going to go real fast on these last questions. Rich Reviews, do you think VR could be the future of movies? No, because I think there's potential for it to be a new thing, that basically a new form of storytelling that's video games, essentially. But the concept of a movie is that the director, the team, create a journey. They control what you see and what you hear and the order it happens in. That's what a movie is. So as soon as you say, now the audience is in charge of what they see and when they see it, that's a new thing in my mind. It's just not what a movie is. It's a different form of storytelling. It's interesting. There's potential for it, but it's not a movie as we know it. If the audience is the one doing this, deciding what they're seeing, and then that would certainly play into what you're hearing. I don't think that's a movie anymore. Jay Sutter, what does your family think of you reviewing movies as a living? I mean, my kids don't know anything otherwise, because they're just 8, 7, and 2. So I started 4.5 years ago. So they just don't know anything different about it. My wife has always been supportive, and she has always known me to be a person that is self-motivated. And by default, I always create things, and I always have created things. I've always had these little projects. This one just happened to work. And even in it, why am I running like Real Creators and a vlog channel? I started a second. I'm just like that. I just create new things, and I get bored, and I'm going to create a new thing. Jack, do you like Friends? I think it's one of the best sitcoms out there. I mean, I'm from the 90s. I watched it when it first debuted. It's good. It's never been one of my favorites. It's always just been a little bit too vanilla for me. Too popular in another sense. Gamerman, do you think Evan Peters is Quicksilver of the X-Men franchise or the MCU version in Evan Peters' body? I don't want to go too much into specifics on this because in case some people haven't seen anything, the language from this latest episode made me think it's a mashup. That there's something weird going on. It's not a simple answer. If you just look at all the dialogue, both of them are confused. Details are fuzzy. Things are different. But other things line up. That sounds like they're mashing together things. But it's really tough to know what the information we have right now. What are your thoughts on Falcon the Winter Soldier reporting to be MCU's most violent project? I don't think too much about it. It's a spy show on Disney. I like spy shows. I like violence. I'm skeptical of what it means that it's violent for the MCU and violent for Disney. So I just don't know. I haven't seen the reports. It's rated R. Rated R. It's a TV show. Rated R is a MPA rating for movies. Joseph, big fan of your videos, new patron. Hey, thanks so much for joining in. These are actually a lot of fun because we're here every week, so I get to know people a little bit more. We can have a back and forth and have running gags, and like some of the guys in here that I'm looking at, you ask questions. Rich, Jay Studdard, Gamer Man, Zachary, they're in here every week, and so we have a rapport, a back and forth. Several of them, I've talked to in different forms, so it's a lot of fun. So hopefully you enjoy. Anyway, how much money would it take to pay you to watch The Human Centipede? It's tough to put a number on it. It's over $100. So would it only be $1,000? I don't know. It's tough to say because do I really? I don't really care all that much, and so but it's what point in time. Like I'm not gonna watch it if I'm not making money. So I don't know. Maybe $1,000 is my number. It's kind of fun to say. I'm never gonna watch this movie, but it's like I gave up on that for $1,000. Does it need to be more because of that? I don't know. Movie King, how do you feel about how they're making Wonka? I don't know. I need more information. Just when we're so early, like we're gonna do another Wonka and we're gonna talk about his backstory. I go, why? Why are we doing this? So I guess my quick version is I'm not crazy about it. Pitch a Speed 3. All right, the movie comes out in 2024 for the 30th anniversary of the incident. They bring back, is it Annie and Jack as some sort of celebration, because this would certainly be a big story, like the time there were bombs on the buses and the heroes of the bomb bus day. And if it's Speed, it has to be something where they're stuck on something that's in motion. So, but I think you have to do it. 30th anniversary is the only way you get the two people back together. They haven't spoken in 20 years, haven't run into each other. They're finally back in the same place, and then something happens. Anyway, I'm spitballing. I can't. I need more time. How many times have you listened to the Frozen 1 and 2 soundtrack with your kids? It would not be an exaggeration to say hundreds. It is absolutely in the hundreds. Guess the X-Men franchise 2020 to 2020 isn't defunct just yet. I'm going to go in multiverse, so it's make of that as you will. It's the same that I guess you could say that, the Batman franchise with Michael Keaton, it isn't dead yet. I mean, it is, but stuff's happening. Gamerman, are you going to watch To All the Boys, Always and Forever? I don't know what that is. Sorry. Dayton, what is your most disappointing video, like the one you put a bunch of time into and it didn't pop off? My Community and Parks and Recs rankings. That both of them, I spent months watching the full series, was excited about it, got all these people saying, do it. And even with the community, I was like, guys, even if it doesn't do well, I'm going to do these other videos. And then it just, in a month that things were slow, of the 10 YouTube shows you, ranks your 10 last videos you did, it was number 10 out of 10. Months watching the show, people telling me to do it, 10 out of 10. And that's just really disappointing. Crash Cody, what if the guy she meets up with is Hank Pym? I would love that. I would love it if Hank Pym showed up. David Patterson, The Little Things. I don't know why she would know Hank Pym, though. David Patterson, The Little Things was very boring. It was very much like Seven instead of wasting your time with super mediocre film. Very true. What if the guy is Reed Richards? I think the Reed Richards theory that makes more sense to me is that next week's episode is probably supposed to be like The Office. And so, obviously, John Krasinski, Office. John Krasinski's been rumored as Reed Richards for 1,000 years. Boom. Suddenly you have your Luke Skywalker level cameo. Zachary, I saw on the internet, instead of casting John Krasinski, they should cast him as a multiverse version, cast him as the multiverse version of Agent Woo. If they do it, mind blown, fantastic callback joke. Especially if they did it on an Office style episode. Jay Studdard, have a great podcast. I appreciate it. David Madison, do you think the next WandaVision episode will be in the style of mockumentaries like The Office and Parks and Rec? Yes, I do. I think that's what the next episode will be. Dan Peters, hot take. I think The Big Lebowski is overrated. Thoughts on the movie? I enjoy it. I've enjoyed Big Lebowski. I don't rewatch it often. It's very quotable, but it's not, to me, a super rewatchable film. Jack, do you think you'll update your MCU ranking to include WandaVision, or just wait until the MCU shows are out and rank them separately? We talked about this earlier in here. I have no intention of every single time a new movie or TV show comes out to rank them all together, because then I'm adding 6 to a list that's already very long. I'm not going to do that. Movies, and as I've said throughout my history of my channel, movies and TV shows are two separate things. Will I ever do a ranking that combines the movies and these Disney Plus shows? Yes. That'll almost certainly happen. But that'll be once a year, once every 2 years. I don't know. I don't know the regularity of it. What I'm thinking is, if they're putting out a movie every 3 months, 4 months, I want to talk about them and update my rankings, but I don't want to just do the same ranking every 3 months. So, how do you change and if they're going to have a new TV show every 3 months or every 2 months or something like that? Once again, I want to do my rankings. People love it. They want to have the conversation. So do I, but I don't want to do the same thing. So what are all the options on the table? The way I normally do it. Try a tier ranking one of these days. Combine them together. And just change up the formula. So all of it's kind of on the table in a certain sense. Media Maniac, hot take. Watched Black Panther recently again. It is racist, predictable, insulting to African culture as well as us colonials. I'm not gonna hop in on that one. I would need to see a full argument, and without having a face and a background to go with it, I'm certainly not going to hop in on that one, because it's too red hot for my taste. Movie King, thoughts on young Wayne Johnson TV show? Weird concept. I doubt I'll watch it. Maybe my son's a big Dwayne Rock Johnson fan. Maybe we'll watch an episode to see if he likes it. I don't know, but it's a weird thing to me that they're doing it. Gamerman, I'm currently watching Arrow episodes, ranking every single character who's appeared in more than one episode. Arrow is doing the same. Smallville working on the Flash. Woo! That is a lot, right there. That is a lot of stuff. That is impressive if you're able to pull that one off. Episode rankings get tough for me, so thank you guys so much. I am late. I gotta go. Jay Stutter, thank you so much for telling me to stop. And yeah, you guys are asking questions about. I gotta go. I can't tell you what I'm gonna rank in my DCU rankings because I have not seen the Snyder Cut yet to be able to know.